Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Bitcoin Noise Show. Today is December the 19th, 2020. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Bitcoin is next Bitcoin. Offended by selling. Only the beginning. Buying over crying. Personal responsibility is a new counterculture. How are those strong hands? Buy and hold. This game is not rigged. Yeah, you're a unique beast. I'm a unique beast. Fitting in is freaking overrated. Hello, my elite friends. You have questions? I have answers. Type in Bitcoin Meister, do a super chat, and check out yesterday's This Week in Bitcoin show. It was a great time. We'll talk about that in a second. Another hour, another all-time high. Well, today there was another all-time high. you guys are getting used to this, aren't you now? We lived through this back in 2017. This is how it's going to be. Another day, another all-time high. We'll have more of these. So I hope everyone's getting into the party. It was well worth the wait, wasn't it? Deferral of gratification. You really know what it means now if you held on to your Bitcoin for this long. So has Bitcoin become a digital gold, corporate digital gold? The corporations are buying it all up as their store of value, as a way to preserve their wealth in this time of massive dollar printing. I mean, do you get triggered when you hear Bitcoin is corporate digital gold? I don't. I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In the old days, if you had the opportunity, I mean, the only people that would have the opportunity to buy something that could be considered corporate digital gold, they would have to be qualified investors, okay? Now, to get this corporate digital gold, anyone in the world can get it. So is it really corporate? Is it really corporate if anybody can get it? You see, the thing is, why is it digital? Why do I use that term, corporate digital gold? Because that's who's buying it up now. The rich are getting richer. The rich are buying it up. Corporations are buying it. It's not a bunch. Someone sent a super chat. I'll get to that in a second. Thank you very much. This is not retail that's causing everything. Okay, it all started in August with Michael Saylor, and I said that was the biggest news of the year, and it was the biggest news of the year. It helped temporarily, and I don't know for how long, read the main use of Bitcoin right now at this day, or December of 2020, is corporate digital gold. All right, that they are, it is huge entities that are buying it up, and that's why it got to $24,000 today. All right, that wasn't happening during the summer, no, was it? When it was still in the four-digit realm at certain points. Oh my! But we knew it would happen one day, and anyone is welcome in this space. You can't say, "Well, Bitcoin has lost its way." If it's corporate now, no, it hasn't lost its way. It's just who is acting upon it now, who is getting off their tuchlis and actually buying it. I mean, compete, don't complain. They're competing. It's the corporate entities that are in there, or that are in there now, and so we have news that in other days perhaps would have crashed the market, that the United States government was doing this KYC thing with exchanges and wallets and whatnot, but there wasn't any adverse reaction with the market. Isn't that interesting? Now, why is that? Why didn't the market react in a negative manner to something that's a lot of people used to FUD about? Oh, the government's going to create these regulations with wallets and exchanges and stifle innovation, and Bitcoin is not going to be as private anymore. Well, because the market, the quote unquote market, is made up of mostly entities that don't give a darn about KYC, that don't give a darn about privacy at all. Now, you may care about privacy and you may care about KYC, and I do care about those things. I personally do. But it goes back to where we are right now in Bitcoin, in the evolution, and who is buying it up. Who is the market now? It's these corporate entities that are using it to preserve their wealth. It's their digital gold. It's their treasury asset. And you can own what corporations are buying up as their treasury asset, as their digital gold, okay, as their corporate digital gold. You can do that. There's nothing stopping you, or you could be bitter and say, "Oh, it's a corporate thing now," and it's not. It's any, it can be anything to anyone. I mean, you can be in Zimbabwe and get it, so you can send it to your cousin in South Africa because to get around capital controls. But is that the main use of it now? Is the main use of Bitcoin at this moment, the people buying it, are they Africans that are trying to get it across the border? No, they're not. They're not. It's Michael Saylor and a bunch of other dudes, some that you've heard of, some that you haven't heard of, and we'll talk about some more in a second. So, and I want to say that this new rule, the KYC rule, whatever you want to call it, banks, I think the banks enjoy this. The banks, perhaps that they're in bed with the Treasury, I have no idea. And they said, make it harder for smaller companies to deal with Bitcoin. To say, if they're holding Bitcoin, they're going to have to report all this information to the government now. And the banks like that because the banks already do that. The banks, everything that is this new regulation, proposed regulation is going to do to entities like Coinbase and exchanges, banks already know how to do this. So it's leveling the play. Well, it's handicapping all of the pure crypto plays and making them deal with what all the banks have to deal with. And so the banks, it will be that much easier for them to become crypto banks now, to become Bitcoin banks. They like this. It's making it harder on the people who are already Bitcoin banks. So they're forcing these Bitcoin banks into their realm. All right, the government is forcing it, and that's not fair. That's not fair. But that's the world we live in the United States, where the government plays a role in private industry and picks winners and losers. And this move helps banks become bigger winners. And I have no problem with banks being Bitcoin banks also. I predicted it would happen. I don't like my government making it easier for them to compete. I don't like my government giving anyone any special favors. And I feel this is definitely helping. And I've got a quote that I'm going to share with you in a second that I have written down here. I've written all these random things down, so I'm jumping all around. All right, now we talked about what the market. Pound that like button, and let me see what the question is from the audience here. And everybody, I just put in the live chat. Check out yesterday's show. All right, what do we got here? Taval Dacrez. Oh no, well first we're going to Matt. Matt Eady said, "Loved your rant the other day." That was on Wednesday when we were doing a show during the all-time high. It's going to get harder and harder for the fat, lazy looters to take from us. Oh, yeah. Well, it's impossible. Oh, well, Matt, if you own Bitcoin, they can't take it. They can't take from you. They can't take from you. So that's the position you want to get yourself, to value your wealth in Bitcoin, to be in, have all your assets in Bitcoin, basically. I mean, don't have an attack vector like a house. I mean, I understand that some people have to have a house. They have a family, their wife, etc. The wife forced them to do it to fit in. But Bitcoin is not an attack vector. And unfortunately, some of the more popular financial assets are attack vectors that the fat, lazy looters can take. Now, Taval Dacres has an interesting question. Thank you for the $5 Canadian. And dude, it is 3 a.m. where you are in Toronto, and it's 1 a.m. where I am. So anyone watching this tape, play this at 2x and know that it's late at night when we're doing this, but we got plenty of dudes here like Taval, so thank you. Do you think people like Amy Castor, I just read one of her quotes, which was so ignorant, Peter Schiff, Nuriel, whatever you say his name, actually have some skin in the game and just troll for engagement? Well, they definitely are all trolling for engagement. Do they actually own any Bitcoin? No, probably not much. I mean, nothing substantial. So I think they're probably all a little bit bitter too. I don't know about Nori. I don't know about Nori. I don't know him. But I seriously doubt that Amy Castor woman has any. And she definitely doesn't have any. Uh, of all the three, she's the least likely to have any. Okay, not definitely doesn't have any, but she's the least likely to have anything more than like $10 worth or whatever. I got to say something about Schiff here, though. Out of all those people you mentioned, he's the most well known now for being anti-Bitcoin. I mean, that's like his whole shtick right now is being anti-Bitcoin. And I was thinking to myself today when I was walking back from synagogue, 5 miles back from synagogue, so I have a lot to think about during these walks, about 2021 New Year's resolutions. And I'm just throwing this out there for people. Just don't pay any attention to him anymore. Just don't mention him in any of it. You see, the thing that he's good at, he's gotten to a situation where you put his name in your clickbait headline, you're going to get clicks, and he knows that. I mean, good for him for triggering, getting his name out there in a way that it triggers all sorts of algorithms. And so people are going to keep doing it because they're algorithm slaves. But if you could just break away from that, just don't put him in your title anymore. Don't talk about him. Don't retweet him. And he'll go, it will end. Because that's his thing. That's all he's got left. I don't know what else. I mean, he sells gold, but we're going to get into that in a second. Who the heck is buying gold now? I mean, the only reason maybe he's even getting new customers is because he's angering the gold crowd so much about Bitcoin. They're getting more stubborn. I don't know. But I mean, that could be a great New Year's resolution right there for the Bitcoin community. Just ignore. I mean, I won't do it. I won't put him in. If I put his name in my title, remind me that I made a mistake. Hopefully, I will not do that. I don't retweet this. I don't follow him or anything like that. So many people, I think, whenever there's a move in Bitcoin now, they immediately go to Peter Schiff to attack him, and he wants that. He wants, if it goes to $30,000 by the end of the year, everyone wants to say, "Oh, Peter Schiff's an idiot." That's going to be their first thing they say. That's not what you shouldn't ignore. Don't try to destroy the man. Don't try to prove we've proven our point with him time and time and time again. He's been wrong every single year. And how many more reminders he's going to be wrong every single year. Forget about him. Pound that like button because you're just helping him. And this is the Bitcoin noise show. He's got to be the noisiest troll out there. And the easiest to ignore and to eliminate his trollisms. He'll go away. All right. Let us move back to the regular stuff. Oh, we got a question here. Bitcoin to the moon. Pound that like button for the BitcoinMeister, everyone. Well, thank you very much, Bitcoin to the moon in beautiful Australia, but not free Australia, unfortunately. I forgot to, darn it. Let me fix that real quick. Mid-show fixing of something behind the scenes there. All right, play this at 2x, people. This show is becoming way too long. Now, we talked about the banks and the. This is from Mark O. Manico 83. Probably the worst implication of the new rules in the United States is that exchanges will need to increase spending on compliance offices to store information and report them. This will drive down the efficiency and profitability and level play fields with banks. This will also favor P2P exchanges and DeFi. Okay, second part is very interesting, but first part is supporting what I was saying beforehand. Here, I'm going to link to a Decrypt article that's got a pretty simple summary of the new FinCEN rules. The United States Treasury Financial Crimes Enforcement Network has proposed new rules regulating non-custodial crypto wallets. If implemented, now listen, everyone, this is what it is. If implemented, institutions would have to identify anyone using an unhosted wallet to transact over $3,000. Transactions over $10,000 from these wallets would have to be reported directly to FinCEN. This doesn't require KYC for every transaction with a non-custodial wallet. It isn't an outright ban on self-custody. It doesn't prohibit the act of using a permissionless network. So it doesn't do a lot of things. Chervinsky, who's a Bitcoin guy, says the rule would impose huge burdens on virtual asset service providers, their customers, and society at large, perhaps infringing on constitutional rights without conveying any benefit to the government in general or law enforcement in particular. So no, it's not going to cut down on criminals at all, like they say. It's just an excuse. It's a way to keep track of people. I said this on the last couple shows. I thought they were already keeping track of these things. I thought, if I buy on Coinbase and I send my Bitcoin off my Coinbase account, I buy like back in March, I bought 2 Bitcoin, and that cost me a little bit over $10,000. I thought, well, surely they reported that to the government. I spent over $10,000, and now, of course, when we're doing the show, just to remind everyone that those 2 Bitcoin that I spent a total of a little bit over 10,000 on are now worth 47,000 combined. Pound that like button. But whatever, the rich get richer. So I still can't understand why people are doing like their New Year's summaries, and there are people that said, yeah, I sold on March 12th. I regret selling on March 12th. How could you ever have sold on March 12th? What was the logic for selling when Bitcoin plummets and every other financial asset is plummeting? It's clearly something freaking crazy is going on, and you're like, oh, it's time to sell now. It's reached a low it hasn't been this low for so long. It's time to sell. For me, it was time to buy, and others too. I don't. It's just some people are just so impulsive, and they do not think. They do not think. I mean, within a month, you were regretting that in a really major way, and now, I mean, you're like crying about it. I mean, I say buying over crying, but I can understand when you were selling why you would be crying at this point. I mean, the numbers I just gave you could have. You made you got $8,000, $9,000 of fiat that day. And if you would have held on to it, or $10,000 worth of fiat, whatever, and if you would have held on to it, you'd have it would be worth $47,000 worth of fiat. 2 of them. I'm saying 2 of them there. Okay. Anyway, but yes, this may infringe on some constitutional rights. I'm sure you can figure out some privacy related aspects. You don't have to divulge everything to the freaking government, every single darn thing that you do financially. But this is what this rule, if you're dealing with Coinbase, if you're dealing with a third party and your Bitcoin is there now, get it off now, first of all. And the proof of key celebration this year should be all about like reminding people, if you do not get your Bitcoin off now, you're going to be subject to these new rules. I mean, there's a new way of promoting a new importance to the proof of keys movement. It's just like, sure, let's see if these exchanges really have what they say they have, and of course control your own private key, but get it off before you have to deal with this ludicrous new rule. Now, so you buy a Coinbase, the new rule will be like, you got to prove that you're sending it to yourself. Okay, you got to say who you're sending it to. And again, if it's transactions over $10,000, it will be reported. And I guess if it's under $3,000, you're not going to have to be identified. But again, who knows? If they're already going to that level, and you're not going to be able to space it out either, like, oh, I did 1,500 this day, 1,500 that day. They're going to catch on, and they'll probably shut down your freaking account if they try to think you're avoiding some $3,000 or $10,000 limit. All right, and so they're just going to create a huge database, and the main reason is like one day, since all this information will be out there, if you did something bad but they can't prove that you did something bad, well, then they'll just go through all your records and find a time that you lied and you didn't really send it to yourself. And, there's no, they're doing this to punish people in the future and to tax people in the future and to make sure that you're not hiding anything, to keep track of where everybody's crypto. And there will be ways to, you move it to something that's yours and then you move it to another address. There'll be ways of still hiding and stuff. It's all a ridiculous game, and it's all this paperwork, and it's helping banks. It's helping it's stifling innovation in the space. Why should a new company have to worry about all this stuff, keeping track of all this? But to say it's regulation on your private wallet is incorrect. It's regulation on the businesses that deal with sending people's Bitcoin to people's private wallets. I mean, that's what it is. So it sounds scarier than it is. At the same time, the market did not react in any way because the market is made up of entities that do not care about this at all. They just don't. Michael Saylor, the amount of Bitcoin that he was buying up, he has to be totally, and he was buying it through a corporation. They report everything to the government anyway. So it's not like, oh, well, I mean, sure, yeah, keep track of every move I'm doing on, and they're doing it through Coinbase too. They're like, he has no problem with Coinbase recording every single thing that he's doing because he's reporting every single thing that he's doing to the government already. And these corporate entities are all like him. There's already so much corporate compliance with so many financial regulations that what's this? This isn't like they're not giving away any new information. They probably like it. Who knows? It makes the industry more legitimate for them and makes them want to own more in it. So that's what's going on in the space right now. It's becoming corporatized, becoming regulation friendly. But if you have a Trezor and you have your Bitcoin on it already, you could send that Bitcoin anywhere. Government's not going to know. Government's not going to care even at this point. You've already beaten them out. You're already ahead of the game, and you can send it to entities that sell things that might not be considered cool by certain people, and hey, you're good. Now, don't try to do that from your Coinbase account. Don't try to send your Bitcoin to an entity that is, selling something controversial. Your coin, who knows what's going to happen in the future? I don't know. All right, remember, I'm the TikTok guy on Coinbase now. I link to that below. I'm in motion. This week in Bitcoin, John Anders and Dennis were on. It was a great time. Great time. It's linked to below. And here's something, here's some noise that I got on one of my, from Doug Casey, from his free newsletter. 3 reasons gold will break new records next year. Oh my God. I mean, did he send that out in 1981 also? Yes. Did he send that out in 1987, 1992? Yes. Man. Yeah. Sometimes, he's not right. I mean, it's clickbait for old men. It's clickbait for old men. 3 reasons gold will break new records next year. Doesn't work on me. It's noise. And here's the reality. All right. There's a guy, what's this? Jeffries Woods. It's some organization, some corporation that financial corporate organization, some sort. I don't even know. Controlled by some dude with a similar name. And they're cutting their gold exposure in favor of Bitcoin. Okay, so that dude is straight up admitting it, and we're going to hear more and more about that. That's not a reason why gold will break new records next year. It's a reason why Bitcoin will break new records next year. Pound that like button. And another reality point here for the gold guys: young people don't want your shiny rocks or money losing bonds, says Pump. Okay, yeah, I agree with that one. This will all be linked to, if you're watching this tape, this will be linked to below. Live, I haven't linked to it all yet. And yeah, I didn't get on my laptop today till 6:40 p.m. And I see Cointelegraph has an article. The article is called "Another Day, Another All-Time High." Where have you heard that from? Where have you heard that before? Bitcoin hits $24,000 in weekend surge. So I was pleasantly surprised that Bitcoin hit another all-time high today. I had no idea until 6:40 p.m. today. So that was good. But this brings me back to 2017 when this this would be the case. There'd be many all-time highs. And what else do we have here? Oh, yeah. So speaking about 210,000 block cycle, the theory, it rhymes. The cycle is not the exact same as last time, okay? Last time we didn't have something that was like March the 12th, where the whole world had a financial panic. We didn't have that happen between 2016 and, well, the previous, that was between the 2012 and 2016. But you get my point here. We have different things happen. Oh, so that was before the halving. Before the 2016 halving last time, we didn't have anything like that. Before the 2020 halving this time, it was unprecedented. It really messed up the momentum of the halving. But sure enough, after the halving, everything's been the same as it was last time after the halving. We went up steadily, then we got an all-time high, then we kept getting more and more all-time highs, and it gets crazier and crazier. So we're following that pattern. But so you don't know this time around during the down year of 2019, we had Facebook had the Libra thing, and that was really good news. We didn't have something like that in 2015. So, but it's the same gist. You have 2 bad years. I mean, if you're in this, guys, if you're in this game, you got to get used to this. Most of the days in Bitcoin, fiat-wise, are not good. They're not good. They're down days. They're down years. They could be freaking scary if you're not used to it. 2014 and 2015, 2018 and 2019, there were some freaking bad days there. And there were a lot of weak hands that now are crying because they didn't take my advice. Buy and hold. Pound that like button. But it's a reminder out there. But with all that in mind, Armin von Bitcoin says we're still less than half of next bear market's bottom. Now think about that statement for a while. Where we are right now at 23,649, he is saying that most likely that in the year 2022, when we're in a bear market again, that the low will be higher than $50,000. And that's very possible. That's very possible. That's even higher than that. I think he thinks it's probably going to be like 80 or something like that. Who knows? So that's a very interesting perspective to see things in, because usually you see it from the other side, where it's already the future and you're seeing it drop. Now we're saying it's going to drop one day to a point higher than where we are right now. So that's very positive. So why wouldn't you buy right now if you think that during the next bear cycle, and there will be, and this is the other thing, on my show, Anders said, and he says he doesn't think there's going to be a bear cycle again. There might not be a bear. I'm not betting on that. I am saying that 2022 and 2023 will be like 2018 and 2019. I think those 2 years will be at least. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. What's wrong if Bitcoin is going to be more than twice its price that it is right now in terms of fiat? I'll be a darn happy man. I'll know that. I'll tell you that. Will I be? I mean, you're going to have to put in perspective. Did it get up to $200,000 and crash down to 80,000? Oh well, it'll be back to 200,000 again because it always returns to its all-time high. Pound that like button every time it has returned to its all-time high. Okay, every single time. All right, and I've said that over and over again. I prepared you guys for so long with that saying. It always comes back to that all-time high. Was I right? Was I right? Pound it, baby. One day closer to an all-time high was something. It wasn't just a saying. It was a way of life. So you don't panic on a day like March the 12th. But people did panic still. People are talking about it to this very day. Okay, we talked about that. We'll talk about that next time. Oh yeah, here. This is from a very good Twitter feed to follow called Bitcoin Critics. Okay, and any person who bought the absolute top of the last Bitcoin bull run at 19,660 3 years ago are now 20% up in profit. Okay, quote unquote profit, because you didn't sell. So, just a few months ago, people were saying, oh, you bought at the top. You bought at the top. Well, now there's people, if there were that many people who even bought at the top, they're 20% ahead already on paper. It's that fast. You have to be able to defer gratification. You just can't think about tomorrow. You have to think about 4 years from now, 210,000 blocks from now. All right. And so, yeah, it's a hilarious Twitter feed. The guy says he gives popular past sayings by people, and he says how much Bitcoin is worth now compared to when people said certain things that were kind of down on Bitcoin. Tracking the price of Bitcoin from interesting and notable events. It's funny. It's Bitcoin Critics on Twitter. It's linked to below. Let me go see here in the live chat. Let me see if there are any questions. I see something over there. Max says, does it concern you that Tether market cap? No, it doesn't. I'm not even going to read the rest of your question, but I will. Which accounts for most of Bitcoin volume and is under investigation and has never been audited, is now over 20 billion. Nope. Because it has, there have been audits they have said X has audited us. There's some people that say they only actually hold 70% of the cash that they do. Here's the thing. People have faith in Tether. They believe that story. All right. People believe a Tether is worth $1. Now, do they really own that many dollars backing you up? Who cares at this point? Who cares at this point? I don't care, because if it comes crashing down, what are all those Tether people going to do? What are they going to do? The only thing they're going to be able to do is buy Bitcoin with it. It's all going to surge into Bitcoin, okay? So if it all falls apart, Bitcoin is going to benefit from the situation. But I don't see it falling apart anytime soon. I see governments and I see other stablecoin providers being really envious of them, that they can just print their own freaking money, which might be the case. They might just be printing it out of thin air, but it serves a purpose and people believe in it. Just like people believe in the United States dollar because of various reasons, okay? Do people believe in the South African rand? Not so much. In the Argentine peso? Not so much. In Tether, there's more faith in Tether than the Argentine peso, I would say. So I don't see, it doesn't worry me at all. They can keep on printing as much as they want to. That doesn't bother me, because if it all did come crashing down, it would all flow in. It would help Bitcoin a lot. It would help Bitcoin if all that value, not all of that value, because a lot of it would just go up into thin air, but a lot of that value in the panic would go flying into Bitcoin. They would not be able to turn it, those tethers, into dollars very, very quickly. That just doesn't exist. Unless we get to a point where FedCoin is somehow created and attached easily to Tether. That could happen one day. We're nowhere near that because there is no FedCoin yet. But good question, and that is a FUD. You're not trying to FUD, but people love the FUD with that thing. And Taval says there's been a lot of negative feedback on the saying, oh, this is good, have fun staying poor, starting with Raul. Do you think it's the arrogance or just lighthearted fun? I think it's awesome. I think it's freaking awesome. Okay? We're supposed to just sit here when these lazy, on their fat tuchuses just collect welfare checks all day and feel bad and say, oh yeah, it's fine what you're doing, it's fine. No, let's call them out. We believe in what we believe in. They believe in what we should be proud of doing well for ourselves. And people who aren't doing well, who are lazy bums, who aren't in motion, call them out. Call them out. We're only giving them advice. Udi is behind that. If people want to create, if they want to destroy and they want to cry and they want to be government worshipers and they want to be poor, have fun. You guys have fun staying poor. Have fun. We're having fun being rich. We're having fun being in motion. So I love it. I absolutely love what Udi is doing over there, and I encourage everyone to say that. Have fun staying poor to those lazy what's over there that complain and become more and more dependent and say that 2020 was the worst year ever. 2020 was the best year ever. Again, I gotta say, it's been the best. It's been freaking awesome for us. And so yeah, have fun. Obviously, if you think this year sucks, have fun staying poor. I mean that's where you're at in life. You're negative Nancy, so have fun being a negative Nancy. Have fun being a compliant bootlicker. That's what this all is. It's about. Have fun staying poor, compliant. It's all intertwined. It's all intertwined. And so we on our side, you should be proud of yourself. You should be proud of yourself. You should be proud that you don't think it's fun to be poor. You know. And so to remind people that okay, you have fun staying poor. I was not having fun being poor or whatever you may have been beforehand. Okay, I have fun being rich. I have fun being productive. I have fun being in a golden age and being on the cutting edge. Okay, so it calls attention to like, wait a second, there's something else out there in this world. You know, I don't have to be, I don't have to sacrifice for some common good out there and remain poor and happy. I can strive for greatness. And people who are in the realm of greatness, they laugh at the people. They think I'm a joke because I'm staying poor. That's what those people, they should be inspired. I think it's an inspirational slogan. It wakes people up. What else is going to wake people up? And again, and change. I wish this was a world that valued innovation, that looked up to people who were in motion. Instead, we live in a culture where victims are glorified. When you say, have fun staying poor, you are not glorifying victims anymore, okay? You are saying victimhood is for losers, all right? And so I love it. So Raul Paul, you can say what you want to say or whatever. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And I encourage everyone to say that saying, all right? And be proud of being successful. Is Raul Paul proud of being successful? Is he? I'm proud of it. There should be no regrets. There should be like, oh well, I should give instead of pointing out these people's problems, I should be giving my wealth to them. No, that's the way. That's how the world works today. You're expected to give to these lazy bums instead of call them out for what they are. Have fun staying poor. That's calling them out right there instead of funding the nonsense. All right. We're putting our feet down. You're putting your foot down as a successful in-motion person when you say that, all right? So that was the great question, Tabal. Thank you for bringing up that subject matter. All right. Someone should make a freaking clip out of some of those rants that I go on there. I don't have time to do this stuff. All right. And all right, the show is already 37 minutes. And it's late. And I got to... I have some people's birthdays are tomorrow. I have to deal with that after this. Okay. So we got the Bitcoin critics. Okay. What's this? First part of the year. What is it? I can't even read what this is. Buying Bitcoin right after. Oh, yeah. Buying Bitcoin right after it crosses an all-time high has been a great bet historically. Now, that sounds a little strange, doesn't it? But after it hasn't crossed an all-time high for a while, like what we just had, it starts surging. There's one all-time high after all-time. Buying after the final all-time high of a cycle, that hasn't been too good. That takes a while for you to make your money back. But all the all-time highs in the positive cycle years, if you buy it after them, you're usually really good to go. I mean, think about all the all-time highs we had in 2017. There was one at 1,300, then 1,400, 1,500. If you kept buying after all of those, by the time you got to 20,000, you're like, holy moly. So it's a very interesting way of looking at it. But again, if you bought, when it got to 19,600 last time, well, then you would have had to wait a while. But are you impulsive or can you wait 3 years? I hope you're not impulsive, but plenty of people are. All right, we'll do Saifeddin's thing. Saifeddin said, fun fact of the day, in the last 24 hours, this was from the other day, the price of Bitcoin has appreciated by approximately the entire price of Bitcoin on March 12, 2020. In other words, your Bitcoins appreciated in one day around as much as they were worth just 9 months ago. That is a great way of putting March 12th into perspective, okay? that in 24 hours, it went up as much as they were worth at the bottom of March 12th and 13th. So and that's how fast this game can change, baby. And that's how much of an anomaly that day was. That was a freaking weird day. All right. Now I do want to say that we gotta think, to maintain a strong hand, you have to be aware of general trends in the world that could do something like that. What's going to bring down Bitcoin's price next time, or that could do it soon? What current event? Now, obviously, the United States regulation that just happened, that didn't do it. That didn't do it. Now, what I say could do it this time is kind of related to the big story that brought it down in March 12th. If the vaccines that are coming out right now, if God forbid they start to seriously injure many people, and no one wants that at all, but they were rushed and relatively untested. If the vaccines start doing the opposite of what they should be doing, that will cause every financial market to react in a bad way, just like March. Now, I'm not. If that all of a sudden, again, God forbid that this happens, but later this week, all of a sudden it becomes obvious, like, wait a second, these things aren't fixing anything; they're making things worse. Bitcoin will go under $20,000. There's no doubt about that. But it will recover. I'm just saying you have to be prepared for now. And again, I hope this doesn't happen, but that is something that could immediately bring Bitcoin under $20,000. Like, that definitely big. It would the stock market would crash. Everything would crash. It would be like March 12th, but not as extreme. Not as extreme. All right, just want to throw that out there. I try to be positive, but the thing is it would just be a blip in the road. Everyone would get over it, and all the financial markets would recover to be stronger than ever. But it's just that's the way of the world. When we have these big panic, mass hysteria events, all the financial markets, all these guys do insane things, and they just sell everything that they have. But it's just a blip on the radar, and yeah, it affects Bitcoin because, as I said, it's corporate digital gold. Well, remember the word corporate. Some of these corporations are not going to act rationally and dump. They shouldn't, but they will under certain circumstances. And thus, it really won't be their digital gold. They will not have treated it properly as digital gold. Now, I don't know how many will do that. It probably won't be the corporations per se, but just the major corporate traders and just entities that are very much intertwined with the traditional financial markets are much more likely to dump on news like that. What is this? We talked about. I'm going to link to a Brian Jacoto tweet where he goes over some of his analysis of FinCEN. I thought it was interesting. Andy Hoffman said, it would make sense to see a mad rush of Americans and Europeans anticipating the same regulations, buying Bitcoin on exchanges and withdrawing everything ASAP. Okay, that would make sense. But most individuals out there don't make sense, and they would rather buy their Bitcoin from PayPal anyway, and they don't care about being KYC'd. They don't care about having third parties control their access to their own Bitcoin. So, yeah, I don't see. I see us promoting the proof of keys again, just to wake as many people up to these oncoming regulations. But I doubt that many people who are already keeping it at Coinbase are going to withdraw because of all this. They're going to learn about true self-custody because of all this. They should. Stefan Livera says 2021 will be a super spreader event for Bitcoin. Yeah, I like that. I like that use of the word super spreader, at least. I think it'll be mostly corporations buying it up, but the retail will get into it eventually. Andrea says, I've been saying this for years. Bitcoin is a poison pill. regulated institutions can't swallow it. By trying to regulate it, they end up making it less useful for those who use regulated institutions. He's got a point there. By regulating it like they're proposing, it is less useful for those who are keeping it at Coinbase or whatever. They're not going to be able to send it everywhere they want to, but they don't really care either. But he's got a point. All right. Another Andy Hoffman here thing. And this is an interesting thought experiment. The last 12 days of 2020 could see the biggest window dressing activity in Wall Street history. No one will want their year-end balance sheet to not have Bitcoin on it. If so, they'll have to explain to investors and potential investors how they missed the biggest trade ever. Hey, from your lips to their ears, okay, dude. I hope they do think like that. That they're realizing what how are we going to go into 2021 without telling our investors that we also have Bitcoin on our balance sheet. I hope it is that it is considered that important to many investors. I don't think it is, but hey, I think a few corporations will think like that. Like, let's get into this now so we can tell. We have a news story at the beginning of 2021 and tell everybody, hey, we didn't miss out on this in 2020. We started diversifying our cash holdings into Bitcoin. And remember, on Parler, use the hashtag CryptoParler. I am BitcoinMeister over there. All right. We talked about, I think I'll link to some more of these comments on the new regulation. Oh, I want to talk about the New York Times thing. All right, good. Brian just said my name in there, but it wasn't a question. He was just saying my name. All right, we got something here. An Udi. We talked about Udi beforehand. Here's a tweet of his. Events so far. 1. Coinbase plans IPO. 2. New York Times hates Coinbase. Tries to steal thunder with racist hit piece. 3. Coinbase learns of hit piece. Front runs it with overblown rumor of new KYC rule. You forget New York Times article. Coinbase announces IPO. KYC role is nothing burger. Pound that like button. That scenario, that's what happened. Now, I don't know. I don't know if Coinbase overblew the potential KYC regulations to deflect from the New York Times hit piece, but they did do a good job of talking about the New York Times hit piece before it came out. And now everything that's happened, no one remembers the New York Times hit piece, and that is awesome. It was nothing but nonsense, and I respect Brian Armstrong a lot for what he's done in the way he runs his company, that he doesn't deal with this woke nonsense, and he isn't scared of the freaking New York Times. And New York Times, you're going to have to try again to take down one of the major players in the Bitcoin space. You failed. Pound that like button. And it's good that the KYC rule is basically a nothing burger compared to what people were scared of on Thanksgiving weekend. And where some people thought Brian Armstrong was the devil. That he had ruined Bitcoin. And I said, no one will remember that Bitcoin fell to $16,000 on Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, do you care now that Bitcoin fell to $16,000 or $17,000 on Thanksgiving weekend? Does it really matter when it's worth $23,750? It looks like we're surging during the show again. This is should I just stay on? Should I try to stay on as long as possible so it hits a new all-time high? No, I'm not doing that. All right, so I'll give you. Here Andreas has another good explanation. If you're still worried about this new regulation, just watch Andreas and look at his Twitter feed. Although his Twitter feed can be filled with a lot of nonsense, also about current events, ignore that. FinCEN pooled was to unveil a new policy on regulated institutions, but tell everyone that they regulated unhosted wallets, which they didn't. Again, yes, this is about the policy deals with regulated institutions. It does not really deal with our with unhosted wallets, all right, or whatever, all these terms that they're coming up with, which they didn't. Ultimately, they disguised impotence as a power move. We can't regulate unhosted wallets. Would have been a much better, much smaller PDF. Okay. Now, oh, good. We're almost at the end of the story here. Show. That woman, Megan the Stallion, that was actually trending on Twitter. She was giving a rapper lady was giving away Bitcoin, and it started trending on Twitter. So that actually came out of Jack Dorsey's business. That was something he had to deal with her. Okay, you're trying to get normies involved. Compete, don't complain. You're competing. That's fine. It did start to trend on Bitcoin. A lot of people were a little confused about it. I don't know. Why does that rapper woman call herself a stallion? I mean, that's like a man's name. I don't get it. But again, I'm not. Maybe there's a story beside. But I never heard of her before. So when I'm hearing this woman call herself the Stallion, I mean, you're no stallion. You're not the Italian freaking stallion. I mean, you're not Mr. Marcus the Stallion either. Oh, don't pound that like button. Now, let's see. All right, now, finally, NBC News. The mainstream media did cover the all-time high eventually. So here's what NBC News headline said. This time around, large funds and even CEOs of publicly traded companies are fueling Bitcoin's 2020 run. All right, dudes. That news, you call that news? We've known that since the summer. We've known that since Michael Saylor. So when I say we, I say those of us on the BitcoinMeister channel who get insider information here. And even though it was out there for the public, NBC could have covered this in September. All right? Hardly any of the financial networks were even covering this in September. All right? All the mainstream media, they could have talked about some rich dude and his corporation bought up a bunch of Bitcoin and it's worth $12,000 during September. They could have said this. No, they didn't. They waited till now, till it's $22,000, and he's already bought up a ton of it. And they think they're like giving important information that, ooh, corporations and rich dudes are buying this. No, dude, they already entered the realm back during the summer. You're giving nothing new. You're adding nothing. That's why you're the old dying mainstream media. But there are plenty of people that are addicted to you, so that's unfortunate for them. They're going to have fun being poor. Pound that like button. Have fun staying poor watching NBC. That's the kind of news that's not too new. That news but hey, they covered it. And if that's where you get your news from, you're going to have a lot of fun staying poor, staying scared in the panic prison with NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, etc. All right, so be proud, everyone, that you're a unique beast and that you get your insider information here. And that's it. I'm going to go to sleep, or I'm going to have to do something with his birthdays. But believe it or not, I know 3 people born on December 20th. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Pound that like button. Thank you, everyone. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow for Beyond Bitcoin. See ya. Bye. Thanks.